Well, staying in the region, defense officials say U.S. targets in Syria and Iraq have been attacked at least 23 times in the past 2 weeks.
The Pentagon said last week that those behind the attacks are supported by Iran and its Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. And this morning, a senior U.S. military official with direct knowledge tells NBC News there were 4 attacks on bases with U.S. troops in the Middle East just yesterday.
For more, we're joined by NBC News Pentagon correspondent Courtney Kuby. Courtney, good morning. So tell us what we're learning about these attacks from U.S. officials and how it relates to the conflict in Israel.
So fortunately, most of these attacks are not successful, meaning that if they even reach the base, there haven't been any that have really damaged much infrastructure and, more importantly, have injured or killed many American personnel. Now, there were 2 last week, one at al-Assad, one in southern Syria at a garrison at Tanf, that led to several service members being injured. Most of them were minor, but there were 19 traumatic brain injuries within that. That was midweek last week, about a week ago. There haven't been any successful since then. And in fact, the majority of the ones that we're talking about here include drones or rockets or mortars that don't even really come within the base perimeter. So in some cases, they're several miles away. So that being said, while the U.S. military is saying this has nothing to do with what's going on in Israel and Gaza, the reality is none of this happens in a vacuum. And we had not seen attacks or attempts like this against U.S. bases since March. Now, the U.S., as an effort to deter against these sorts of attacks, conducted a series of airstrikes in northeastern Syria last week. So far, we have seen a slowdown in attempts on U.S. bases, but the reality is they have not stopped, Joe.
So, yeah, I guess the question is, you talked about those retaliatory strikes. Any other responses planned? What are you hearing?
So right now, the U.S. is keeping all their options open. The reality is, if these escalate, so if we see more than 1, 2, even 3 a day, or if we see a successful attack, if there is real damage to infrastructure, multiple casualties, or there is a death of an American on one of these bases, I do fully expect the U.S. military will respond again.
And Courtney, what is Iran saying about these U.S. claims?
So very little. I mean, at this point, they're not really denying it. They're not denying it. The reality is these are Iranian-backed groups that are carrying these out. When we're talking about Iraq, it's mainly Kataib Hezbollah, frankly, mainly in Syria as well. The big question that we've been asking is, how much did Iran know or even direct some of these militia groups to restart these attacks and then maybe even accelerate them? And we don't have direct links, but I will say senior defense officials, when you ask about them, about these sorts of attacks, they say they are calling on Iran to direct these groups to stop them, Savannah.
All right, Courtney Kuby, thank you so much.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.